what's a 57 Chevy Nomad, LT1 Nomad? Well, this build is for Matthew to build for his dad, the heart and soul of what that Nomad is that you guys ended up seeing. Unfortunately, Mike is no longer with us anymore. We just wanted to give you a little backstory on the man, the car, why it means so much to us. Again, what you guys saw was a gorgeous 57 Chevy Nomad, and Mike, who is a Vietnam vet, served in the Navy. Well, Mike ended up getting out of Vietnam, but when he was in, he did buy this 57 Nomad, and his brother ended up finding an engine for it. Well, the engine is this 70 LT1, and he picked it up while Mike was still serving. So once Mike got out, it was pretty much, hey, let's wait until the Nomad's done, and then we'll work on this LT1 and put that in the Nomad with a 4-speed and like a 370
gears.
Yeah. And it was done, at least what I'm seeing on the motor, this thing was done in the late 70s. So this was like 77, 78. So about the time I was born. And at that point, I mean, Mike was always a car junkie. I mean, everybody who knew Mike Pater knew this white Nomad. And it was a hot rod, chambered exhaust with, headers and this LT1 in it and, Kragers and Americans. And it was the first car that I really remember hearing and going, wow, listen to that camshaft. And it was so cool. So for me to have the opportunity to help Matthew with bringing this thing back to life is absolutely awesome. These two ended up meeting, what, late 70s?
I'm going to guess 78. And at this particular swap meet, I had a set of 5 Goodyear Polyglass F7014s, and I went to the G60s on it. In fact, it was a GTX, or GSX. So these were on it on one of my GSs. Anyway, Mike wanted to buy the Polyglass because they were so hard to find, and I said,
but I don't want the wheels.
He didn't want the wheels. This is our first time we meet. He said, what if I just buy the tires and I give you the wheels back? And so I trusted him. Sure enough, within a week, he brought the wheels back. We've been friends ever since.
You ended up making a car buddy for life.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm. Guys, it'd be weekends, all of a sudden you hear that Nomad blah, 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 coming in. And I remember growing up, like I said to you guys before, where junkyards and swap meets and all that was my camping. We didn't go camping, we didn't go fishing. We went to swap meets and junkyards. And Mike was a part of that. And Mike would drive this thing everywhere. I mean, it would just be his daily. And he drove this thing freaking everywhere. Well, unfortunately, Mike was coming home and making his way, got in the turn lane, and he was going up his road, and a young punk, not paying attention, looking at his phone, ended up going head-on into the Nomad. Mike did not have seatbelts in the car because, hey, they didn't have seatbelts back then. And this is how much of a car guy Mike was. Mike got pulled out of that Nomad, and he's on a stretcher, he's going to go to the hospital. His first question when he got out of that car was, how's the Nomad?
Exactly.
How's the Nomad? How's the Nomad doing? Is it okay? My friends, that is a car guy through and through. He ended up going to the hospital, and he fell to his injuries from that. The car sat for a little bit, and Matthew brought that thing back to life. And now the car it's got a ZZ4 in it. They put an automatic in it, so his mom, Mike's wife, can now drive the car around and enjoy it, and still, in memory of him. And one of the things Matt said to me was, that's the heart and soul of the Nomad. And Matt lives in a completely different state. Mom's got the 57 and it's with her. And when we were talking about it, he's like, I want to bring that thing back to life. I want the heart and soul of the 57. I want you to rebuild that for me. Take a look at it and go from there. So at that point I said, absolutely. We're bringing this thing back to how Mike had it when he first put it together. When it first went in the Nomad, he first put this thing together. It's got performance parts on it, not internally, but intake, different oil pan because it's into a Nomad, like a set of headers on it, and that's about it. He really didn't go too crazy. And you guys are going to be surprised in what you see here. It's kind of like pulling not a crypt apart, but I mean, this thing's been together for over 45 years. It's really cool to see some of the things that are inside this motor. I tell you what, you guys, it's going to be a blast. We're going to end up throwing it on the test stand. Are we going to do it in this episode? No, I'm going to show you guys exactly where we're at. So I hope you guys dig this. Let's get to the action. So we pulled off this relic of an intake manifold. And so far, everything's looking okay. You know, valve train, I mean, obviously we're going to have some slop in there because solid flat tappet cam. For you guys out there, this is a 392-7186 head. This, if I'm remembering right, this is going to be something that obviously I think he put on later on. This is just going to keep the oil off the bottom side of the intake manifold so it just doesn't get so dang hot. But looking at everything, let me grab a flashlight here. You know, we got some corrosion stuff back there, blah, 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 but the ports don't look too bad. You know, Mike did a very good job of, you know, keeping everything, you know, up on the oil changes and changing out, you know, spark plugs. And I mean, he absolutely loved this engine. That's nasty. Look at those spacers. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. This was your factory windage tray. This was just to keep oil to stay towards the oil pump so it didn't like creep up towards the back of it, but your oil pump's so far down. But yeah, we're gonna get the windage tray off. I'm gonna pull the oil pump off. The oil pump was hit the way that this is. I don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah, that's not sitting straight. You can see how much slop is inside there. You know, that's going to advance and retard your timing a little bit. Was it dangerous? No, you guys, you know, no, it wasn't super dangerous. So there is the original orange. I went through, all the cylinders are done, I cleaned the block, degreased the block, used wax and grease remover after I got done with that, and that is where we ended up. So you can see how nice all the bores are now. We're all good in that sense. I already sanded down the deck surface just lightly because we didn't have any problems with it sealing up, just got all that old gasket material off, such things as that. And then same thing up front. Timing chain, well, the timing cover, all that, cleaned all that stuff out. So now that it's cleaned up, we are ready to put some paint on this bad boy and start assembling it and bringing this thing back to life. One of the things that I always tend to do, I put the camshaft in first. Why? All right. Well, when I'm putting the cam in, I can kind of self-guide it in the way it is right now. I can do it upside down and self-guide it in. Two, here, let me grab a cam. Here's your old camshaft. By the time I lube this guy up, it's got to go through that front cam bearing, then the second one, then the third one, then the fourth one. There's going to be nothing on this by the time it actually gets back there. Little film, but not much. What you do is you slide the camshaft in right before it gets into each one of its set bearings I'll lube these up from the top side, like what you're seeing in here. And that way I know 100% sure that that back bearing, and this third one is all getting properly lubed. So what camshaft are we running? Since this was the stock one, what do you got now? From Comp Cams, I got their nice little nostalgia kit. Now I did not go with the standard LT1 camshaft. I know some of you guys out there might be like, oh, why didn't you do the standard one, this and this and this? The original camshaft is a straight 254 at 50 thousandths. It's 465, 485 lift, and it's cut on a 116. The camshaft that I got now, it's like a step above what the original cam would be. Now, in the duration portion of it, you might look at it and go, hey man, that's pretty much the same thing. This is 247, 254 at 50. So it's a little smaller on the intake. I'm fine with that. I'd rather have a split. A split normally is always going to end up performing better. It is 504, 498, 465, 485. This is 505, 500. And this is also cut on a 112. So, as you can see right there, that's the cam. So it's got a little bit more lift. Instead of being on the 116, it's cut on a 112. Now you can see what I mean by it's not this great big monster cam compared to what the stock one was, but being on that 116, that normally kind of soaks it up and just kind of kills the camshaft for me, unless you're going to put a 500 shot of nitrous to it, which we are not doing. What are you doing with a chisel on top of the set of pistons? Well, I am pulling off all the carbon on the top of this thing because I think, Mikey, I think you, my man, were trying to raise the compression in this motor. It's already 11-1. So I think you maybe got about 11 1/4. So we're scraping some compression off the off the tops of these pistons. Now, it's really cool that we get to reuse these. The fact that we're reusing the original pieces. The point of this is to bring this back to originally how Mike had it in the Nomad. That's what his boy wants. He wants the original motor that was in the Nomad. So when he fires that thing up on a run stand, he can hear it, kick back with a beer, and just go, that was Dad's motor. That's what we're doing right here. And the piston ring set, like I said, that we ended up picking up is a set of Speed Pros. Now, these are already pre-gapped, but you should be double checking your gaps regardless, just to see where you're at. What you just saw, those were already 24. Now I'm gonna check as I put these in each time, because you might get a ring. You might actually get a ring in there that all of a sudden is like 18. If it's bigger, well, you can't put material back. But if it's smaller, then we might have to file off a little bit. Most likely you're not gonna have to. Motor's apart, you're putting it together. Take the time, double check it. So we might have just solved a mystery that was inside this motor that Mike himself was trying to figure out, but he couldn't figure it out. See how when Mike was in the middle of doing that with Matt, it was like, hey man, it's missing kind of more in the upper RPM range. Well, here's one thing. I don't have the cylinder heads here. They're over at Steve Morris's getting rebuilt. One of the things was that Kyle noticed on it, there was a small crack going up the intake valve seat. Tiny little crack going up it. But I would say it was probably about 1/8 of an inch long off the seat. It was a number 4. This is a number 4 cylinder that had some water in it. It wasn't god-awful terrible, but it took a little bit more work with the hone job. We got it, but a little bit more work with the hone job. I'm putting the pistons in right now. Check this out. Now, I'm going to clean it up a little bit better, but look at how peppered this thing is. Now, it feels smooth and all of that, but that right there, compared to that, is what the rest of these pistons look like. Now you can see what I'm looking at here. When that thing was missing, yeah. So when that thing was missing, where he thought possibly carburetor, timing, maybe the timing chain's going, things like that, it was water going in the cylinder. The higher the RPM's gonna go, the more pressure it's gonna get, and the more water's gonna shoot and just knock itself into that cylinder. So he was putting out the flame. He was literally killing a cylinder because of the water going in there. So that missing you heard was just was that cylinder dying out. And it wasn't just for a little bit. This was going on for a while. So very interesting in that sense. I think we kind of solved the mystery there for Mike that he couldn't figure out on this thing. So that's kind of cool. All right, so the last couple of things we're working on now is timing chain cover and then the oiling system. I'll show you the oiling system here in a second, but we ended up bringing this thing a little bit back to life. I ended up changing the seal. I screwed up, and yes, we all screw up. I put the seal in it before I ended up doing this. So I taped it up and still got a little bit of the orange on it. This is just from degreasing it and cleaning it. But as you can tell now, we have a nice, shiny, ready to paint timing cover. I wanted to reuse the original, and we did. Timing cover just got bombed in small block Chevy orange, so I'm letting this dry now, because obviously we have to put that on first. But I was going to show you what we got here. Now this is through Summit. It gives you an OEM pan, which is already done. We're ready to rock and roll. It's nothing crazy. It's just a stock pan that fits this dipstick. But in the kit, you get a stud kit. You get your oil pump drive shaft, which is nice. This isn't some cheapy little one. And then you get a Melling high volume oil pump that's already got the pickup welded onto it, so it's already done in that. It's a real nice, easy, simple kit. Got the balancer on, we're locked on, ready to rock and roll. Now, all you can do is double check your top dead center. The mark that's on the balancer, I'm gonna leave that. That's what's gonna be the easiest thing to see. All I'm gonna do is once I get it lined up at top dead center, I'm just gonna make a black mark on top of the timing tab, wherever it is. I don't care what the degrees say here, wherever it is, and I can base off of that. So that's all we're doing. Now, if you got the cylinder heads on it, obviously, you'd use a spark plug piston stop, which I've made. I got it on the channel. You guys wanna know how to make one really, really cheap, I got one of those. But this is gonna actually be doing it with a dial bore gauge, or with a dial gauge. So all I'm gonna do is just go onto the top of the piston dome, and we're just gonna bring it up, find out where on the gauge it zeroes itself out. And at that point, I'm just gonna end up making a little bit of a black mark. Guys, that's pretty much it. So what are you doing now? Well, now I have a camera inside here to where I can actually see exactly how far away the pickup is to the pan. And that's what I want to see. Plus I want to see, is there anything getting affected by the windage tray? And you can see there's the windage tray. And then there's the bottom of the pan, so we're looking at crank and rods right there. So what I'm seeing, try to back this out a little bit here. There's the bolts to the windage tray. We're plenty far away. There's the beginning of the windage tray. As I slowly pull this out, there is your pickup. So as you can see, that looks pretty good. So we officially have ourselves a 350 LT1 complete short block. Cam, everything's ready to rock and roll. I used a Felpro one-piece oil pan gasket for this thing. I've always had great luck with those. And then just the four corners on the block side, I end up siliconing, and then I stick it on. We're ready to rock and roll. So that is as far as we are going to make it on this episode. It's been more than just a weekend of getting everything ready and ordering parts and all that stuff. So again, for you guys, we are still waiting on the cylinder heads from Steve. I just went there last week, so it hasn't been a real long time. And I'm curious at what he's going to do to fix that crack problem that we have in there. If he's just going to fusion weld it, braze it, I don't know. I know some guys out there that can, weld cast iron and all that stuff. So I'm curious to see on that. But we're also going to do an old 70s intake manifold that was originally on this thing that they don't even make anymore. And we're going to restore that, the valve covers, all that. Again, we're going to bring this thing back to the glory of those pictures that you saw when this thing was done in the late 70s. That's the plan for this. So I want to get this to look exactly like what it was that first year that Mike had it in the Nomad, and he was just tearing up the town and tearing up the streets and having a good time in there. We are going to get the old man's car down the track. We're planning on doing that. That might be the next episode. Don't hold me to it, but that might be the next episode that you guys see. And then we aren't forgetting about this thing. As soon as we get the parts in, I still got to order up some top end pieces and all that. But as soon as we get everything in, look for part 2 of the 57 Chevy Nomad LT1. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you enjoy the build and the entire process. I can't wait to hear this thing on the test stand, thumping and making some noise. And I can't wait for Matt to actually see this thing, and hopefully it'll put a smile on his face. So until we meet again, my friends, hope to see you at the track, car show. Keep working on them hot rods. I'll catch you on the flip side.
See ya.